The Smithsonian just recently had a new exhibit. It was called Hide, Seek, Differences and Desire in American Portraiture. And I think it was an insanely interesting exhibit that I would love to see, except now part of the exhibit has been taken down because it offended Republicans.
And because it was insanely interesting. I don't think I've ever known anything to be insanely interesting.
No, but it is insanely interesting because it's not often that you go to a museum and you see an exhibit that's dedicated to the gay community, right? So, and it's not just about the gay community. It had to do with gender issues. It had to do with a lot of interesting stuff that I'm into. Okay, so maybe it's not insanely interesting for everyone else, but it's insanely interesting for me.
Artists who are gay and do an exhibit on that, very, very bold. Okay, no, I have seen that. I don't think this is that new. But God bless you for being interested.
No. Okay, all right, calm down.
Okay, I'm calm. All right, go ahead.
So the Smithsonian had this one particular exhibit, or one piece of art, where it was a video that showed ants crawling up an image of Jesus.
Of a crucifix, right, obviously with Jesus in the middle there. That's how crucifixes work, yes.
Right. And it was supposed to represent the suffering that AIDS has brought on people, and it had to do with AIDS. That's it. That's what the exhibit was about.
Right.
And Republicans were outraged by it because they believe that the Smithsonian receives public funding, and since it receives public funding, artwork that offends Christians should not be there.
Yeah. Look, this is an age-old question, and I always find this question to be fascinating. And I actually don't think it's that clear-cut, right? Because, first of all, should they be offended? I mean, I don't think they should, obviously. Ants crawling on a crucifix. And, like, if that's your belief system, why are you offended by that? Who cares? Like, do you think God is offended by the ants?
Right.
You know, it's so silly, right? But, of course, it's not about the ants. It's not about the crucifix. It's that it's gay. And they don't like it, right? They don't like gays. And by the way, if you're gay and you're still voting Republican, because apparently a huge percentage are, you know, over 30% of gay voters are voting for Republicans, you're crazy. Look at how much they just, like the minute you do a gay exhibit, they're going to defund the Smithsonian. I mean, how much do they have to hate you before you stop voting for them, right? So, you know, but they're offended for whatever reason they are. And the Smithsonian says, look, your money isn't going towards this exhibit. It goes towards the buildings. It goes towards the staff. But can you really separate out the two? I'm not sure that you can.
Yeah, you can, because private donors are the ones that fund the actual artwork. But the public money goes into maintaining the actual museum. So yeah, I think that you can separate it.
I think public money goes towards it, right? You can't have the exhibit at all if the public didn't pay for the building and doesn't pay for the staff who works to partly maintain that exhibit, etc. Now, having said that, if you have bought into the idea that we're going to fund some public art, right? You can't then go and nitpick and say, I don't like that art and I don't like this art. That art's not bad. Put up the flowers. Oh, that's a very nice fruit, or that's a very nice flower. No, but that defeats the whole point of the art.
You know, I think it's ridiculous that this discussion even has to happen. You know what the public funded? The fucking bailouts. Okay? So why don't we have a longer discussion about that? Like, seriously, we're nitpicking art? That's what's ridiculous here.
Right. So to Anna's point, today we found out that the Fed gave basically $3.3 trillion to the top banks in the world, including foreign banks. And we're worried about 2.5 nickels going to the Smithsonian with an ant and a crucifix and a gay dude.
It's unbelievable. So look, I made Jesus make these graphics, so I want to use them.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank God. All right.
So I want to tell you what some of the Republicans are saying about this. So Eric Canner from Virginia says, the exhibit is an outrageous use of taxpayer money and an obvious attempt to offend Christians during the Christmas season.
Oh, yeah.
When a museum receives taxpayer money, the taxpayers have a right to expect what the museum will uphold common standards of decency. The museum should pull the exhibit and be prepared for serious questions come budget time.
I know. I think Cantor's right. I mean, I think that the Smithsonian thought, Christmas, we sure you Christmas. Here, take this, ants, gay people. What are you going to do now, Christmas? Or it could have been that the exhibit just happened to come up now, and nobody even put a second thought behind it. At some point during the exhibit's run, it would be Christmas.
And then John Boehner says, American families have a right to expect better from recipients of taxpayer funds. In a tough economy, Smithsonian officials should either acknowledge the mistake and correct it, or be prepared to face tough scrutiny beginning in January when the new majority in the House moves to end job-killing spending spree in Washington.
So this is the same guy who wants to give a $700 billion tax break to the top 2%. But he's worried about the 2.5 nickels we're spending at the Smithsonian. And that's the job-killing spree that's going on in Washington?
Yeah.
How absurdly disingenuous are they? Look, I'm going to go back. Gay people, they don't like you. This has nothing to do with the 2 nickels we're going to save. This has nothing to do with anything else but the fact that they don't like you, okay? So there should be 0 gay voters in the country voting for Republicans.